I know there's an Indian team playing Test cricket or due to play Test cricket in England, and that's got all the big names, the box office names. But there are reasons I'm really excited about Sri Lanka versus India. For a start, we don't know if this is a shape of things to come. That two national teams are playing at the same time, and I mean, that opens up a lot of commercial possibilities. But more than anything else, I'm excited at seeing how a lot of people who might in a combined team not have had major roles will now step up and play lead roles. So that's something to look out for. I'm a little surprised that this tour, given the proximity to the T20 World Cup, is a combination of ODIs and T20 cricket. I realize there's a World Cup qualifying effort going on and there's that cycle going on as well. But India have nothing to gain from it because, well, for a start, it's 2 years away. But India qualify automatically because they are hosts. Sri Lanka so far down on that list that maybe they will hope to get some points out of this. But as I said, the World Cup is 2 years away. So for me, I would have preferred if there were 5 T20 internationals, to be honest. For me, the only positives from playing the 3 ODIs before the 3 T20s are that it'll put some overs in the legs of key bowlers. To me, Bhuvneshwar Kumar and Deepak Chahar are key bowlers. They perform similar roles. Maybe Bhuvi a little more skilled, Chahar a little quicker, but there are places up for grabs in the T20 World Cup. So it's important to have overs in their legs before the 3 T20s start. And I'd like to see Sanju Samson getting some runs behind him. And my old friend Arjuna Ranatunga, I haven't met him for a while. I enjoy talking to him. I can see why he has said this is a second string side, because he was a feisty Sri Lankan, always looking at what is good for Sri Lankan cricket. And I think he said it because it's the right thing to say for a Sri Lankan. But if you look at this side, and I've looked at numbers from people who've played around 20 IPL games in recent times. Look at the top 6 that I have picked. I'm going with Shikhar Dhawan and Prithvi Shaw. They were fantastic for Delhi Capitals. 1 left-hander, 1 right-hander. There's Surya Kumar Yadav at 3, Sanju Samson at 4. All key players for their franchises. I've got Ishan Kishan at 5. Let me explain. We need a left-hander up that order because otherwise between number 2 and number 7, and even number 7 is iffy, there is no left-hander. So even though Ishan Kishan is sort of 130 his strike rate, I think he's such an adaptable batsman that he can be at number 5, and then there's Hardik Pandya at number 6. Look at the strike rates for all these people. Other than Ishan Kishan, who's in the 130s, they're all 140, 150 plus, and they've all got decent averages. 2 in the 40s, some in the 30s. Hardik Pandya, given the role he plays, is in the mid-20s. But this is a top 6 that could actually challenge the T20 World Cup top 6. It's that good, I think. And so I don't think you need to worry about whether it's first or second or third string. This is a very high quality top 6 that India will put out in Sri Lanka. At number 7, I'm going to be determined by how many left-handers Sri Lanka actually end up playing. I mean, how many we think they will end up playing, because you want someone to turn the ball away. Luckily, both Krishnappa Gautam and Krunal Pandya are very, very capable with the bat. And you expect about 2-3 overs from them. Good day, they'll give you 4, but you expect 2-3 overs with Hardik Pandya delivering 2-3 overs. I think we've got that covered. So one of those 2 will play at number 7. We got Bhuvneshwar Kumar and Deepak Chahar, both of whom can bat a little bit down at 8 and 9, maybe even Chahar at 8, Bhuvi at 9. And then interestingly, I'm going with Varun Chakravarti over Chahal, because I looked at the numbers for Varun Chakravarti. As his career progressed at Kolkata, he started bowling the difficult overs, but more than anything else, every single game he bowled 4 overs. And that means that come what may, he was delivering his 4 overs for his side. And I actually believe he had become the number 1 spinner ahead of both Kuldeep and Sunil Narayan as it wore on. I realize there's very little batting there. I realize there's fitness issues, but I genuinely believe he's a proper 4 overs bowler and could on the odd day win you a match by himself. So I've got Chakravarti in there. My 11th spot, I've gone with Rahul Chahar over Yuzvendra Chahal. I mean, you look at the numbers of those 2 over 20-25 IPL games. And really, you take out the L and put the R, and there's no difference between the 2. Only reason I'm looking at Chahal is because we've seen a lot of Chahal. He's been a little erratic in recent times. I want to see how Chahar functions at this level. If we find that the wickets are gripping a little, then I find that the finger spinner gets a little more than the leggy, but also someone who hits the deck and takes the pace off, like Chetan Sakaria, might be handy. So that 11th spot, I want to go with Chahar. I've explained why Chahal, but I might just keep the options of Chetan Sakaria open on that one. So that is my 11. I think it's a very, very competent 11. And given Sri Lanka's recent form, they should back themselves to win all the games. Now, what happens with the first 3 games? How many changes are there in that side? I'm looking at 3 or 4 changes. I've got Manish Pandey back at number 5. And the reason I've got him at 5 is he's very good at controlling an innings and taking it deep. And sometimes you need that. Sometimes you can say he uses up deliveries, but on either side of him, he's got players like Surya Kumar Yadav and Sanju Samson. He's got Hardik Pandya and maybe Krunal Pandya down after him. So he's got that kind of availability. So I think Manish Pandey at 5 will be very good. And I'm going back with Kulcha because I think we need to issue a very strong statement of faith in 2 bowlers who won new matches, who are going through a rough phase. But I would give them all 3 matches, irrespective of how they play, because if they do get it right, there's so much to get from there, and I think it's important that we give them that confidence. So I've got Chahal and Kuldeep Yadav in that ODI side. I believe this setup, and there's a lot of very, very good backup players in there. There's Devdutt Padikkal. You could consider playing Padikkal in one of the games. He had a fantastic Vijay Hazare. There's Ruturaj Gaikwad. There's Nitish Rana. There's Navdeep Saini in case you want to preserve Deepak Chahar. There's a lot of options in this side. And I believe this side should have the ambition of making it 6-0. I'm not putting down Sri Lanka. I'm just saying this is what India should be thinking about, that they should believe that this series should be 6-0 going in. I won't be surprised if that is what the coach is telling them. He can appear to be understated, but he can be very tough as well. Now, what about Sri Lanka? Sri Lanka making the news for the wrong reasons. If I was a Sri Lankan fan, and I've been over the years, I'd be very disappointed with all that is happening. When you make news of what is happening off the field rather than on it, then you know there are deeper issues. And the issues are to do with contracts, with discipline, with revelations from the anti-corruption unit. All that will keep playing on the minds of the players. And you notice that when they went to England, Sri Lanka did not compete. That means the problems are already moving onto the field. A lot of their players haven't become the players we thought they would. I genuinely thought Angelo Matthews should have become a Joe Root, Virat Kohli, maybe not Virat Kohli kind of player, but definitely among the top 5-6 batsmen in the world. That didn't happen. Kusal Mendes didn't grow. So many players are not growing and falling by the wayside. Oshada Fernando is the latest example. I saw him bat once and I said, wow, this kid can bat. And I put it out on social media. But where is Oshada Fernando? So as I look at the series from Sri Lanka's point of view, I believe that team is built around four players. Dhananjay De Silva in that last game against England was wow. I mean, driving, laying back and pulling. He's a fine player. The moment you set sight on Wanindu Hasaranga, you know there's a lot to admire over there with Hasaranga. So those 2, and then I'm looking at Dushmant Chamira as the fast bowler. And of course, with Kusal Perera, I don't know how he's going to react to the captaincy being taken away from him. Dasun Shanaka, to some extent, he's about 29. He's a bit of this, bit of that, more batsman than bowler, but he really hasn't become someone you lose sleep over. So those 4, looking at Sri Lanka's point, they want people like Nisanka, Avishka Fernando, who's coming back in the side. They want people like those to stand up and say, look, we are there. Because otherwise, you're going to say, hang on, why is Chandimal not in the side? I know his strike rate is low. I know he holds up innings, but at least there is genuine ability there in the absence of Angelo Matthews. There's a lot of other players who are not going anywhere. I thought Akila Dhananjaya could become an Ajanta Mendes, maybe even better. Lakshan Sandakan. There's a lot of these young players who are not becoming players. So what I'd like to see is whether Sri Lanka are able to put that contract issue, all the ill will around that, and come out and compete, and whether they genuinely believe they can put it across this India side. So I'm looking forward to this series, as I said, for many reasons, and I will be disappointed if India don't go out there believing it should be 6-0.